This is Jockington. Dear God, there's more. No. Written in a supposedly unbreakable prophecy, Jockington grows the beard. Question! Do you want the Jockington? I want the Jockington! Yes! I promise this is going somewhere. It's me, DT. Today's video is about Ralsei from Deltarune. Who he is, what he is, why he grows the beard, and what that means to my delightfully over-speculative mind. I'm going to try and help this make sense, even if you haven't played the games, just in case.
No promises, though.
I'm someone who sees spoilers as more of just learning things in a different order. I'm also someone who sees deciphering media for hidden messages from the authors as extremely fun. So don't take anything I say as like gospel. Have your fun too. Just consider the possibility that this could be where things are headed. It might actually be awesome. I've been a fan of Toby Fox for ages. I actually met him once at Otakon in 2011. I was dressed like this. 14 years later, you know what? I'm so proud of the boy. I missed the Undertale reminiscing event, so I guess I'm making this instead. Thanks for making the thing, Tobes. The 13th Hour is still the best song. Megalovania is not a theme for anyone, except Aradia. Anyway, always needs saying, play Deltarune and or Undertale if you haven't yet. Order doesn't matter. Both are extremely influential games in my life that I just can't stop thinking about. Alright, finally doing this video so I can move on with my life. Proceed. Ralsei is a sweet and adorable goat boy who dresses like Black Mage Final Fantasy, but he can't cast fire magic. He knows heal prayer and attacks by flinging his adorable little scarf at things. His name is an anagram of Asriel, a character from Undertale, a main one even, and this was basically where thought terminated on Ralsei's identity for something like 4 years. See, everyone loves plot twists and secret identities, and Ralsei is extremely enigmatic. He knows basically everything about the dark world he says he comes from. I don't actually believe him when he says that, though. The part about him being from the dark world, that is. See, it already seemed pretty likely that Ralsei wasn't just an average Darkner because of his anagram name, and while a lot of people are content to take what he said at face value, I just don't trust his fluffy ass. Darkners are explained in Part 3 to be light world objects that are transformed through the illusion of the dark world to be alive and often sentient. You can take photos of Pippins and make him die, for example. When Lightners, living people not native to the dark world, enter an area with a dark fountain, they transform into something of an idealized or at least fantasy version of themselves. Chris and Susie don't transform too much for whatever reason, just sort of adopting knight and barbarian gear like they're playing D&D. Berdly takes this to the extreme, turning into Super Smash Bros. Melee. That Falco! Other characters like Undyne and Toriel show this as well. Also, it seems like they get a morphing weapon. Chris absolutely morphs their sword into a shield. Berdly has his laser halberd, Undyne has laser spears. I just think they're neat. Even GERSON gets a laser cane because I'm old! Homie is so old he's literally dead. So why is he in the prime of his life when you fight him? And then there's Noelle, who is a sweet and adorable deer girl who dresses like White Mage Final Fantasy, but she can't... Oh, she can cast ice magic. Haha, well that's fun. Hope that doesn't lead to anything later. Noelle video later, probably. Anyway, all I'm getting at is that when the Lightners go in the dark world, they transform. And this one moment with Noelle transforming behind cover makes me think that the dark world fantasy self can alter its form drastically, morphing you to whatever you imagine yourself as. Hell, as stated, GERSON is so old that he's literally dust, so his fantasy self is way younger than his real body, even though I'm old! He seems just fine with being old. That is some sick grandpa drip if I ever seen it. Even just comparing him with his Undertale self, he's way younger looking. And much more so when he becomes his Hammer of Justice form and starts playing Mario and Luigi against you. Listen, he was in the Mushroom Kingdom Wars, I'm telling you. He watched his Hammer brother in arms get boinked. Look, this is all just to explain why I think Ralsei is a younger, idealized form of another character. You go in the dark world, you become whatever you imagine yourself as. Or maybe... Wait a second, I've freaking seen this before. It's from Legend of Zelda. Yeah, when Link goes in the portal and turns into a freaking bunny. He's adorable! Look at this, there's this little ball guy who wandered into the portal and can't get out. The golden power is what changed your shape to reflect what is in your heart and mind. I'm always changing my mind, so I got turned into a ball. And then he gets kicked around by this D-bag bully. Lots of people got this reference in Deltarune pretty quickly because the place Link is in here is literally called the Dark World, but like not everyone's played both games, so I felt like it was worth mentioning. Anyway, that's how I understand it in Deltarune too. We already had Ralsei deconfirmed as Asriel, but even in Chapter 2, I was starting to wonder about him. Basically, if a Lightner enters a space with a dark fountain, they transform and enter it, right? So can you just walk through a door from another room and join the dark world like hopping on a game server? Well, check out this conveniently placed server room. You can't go in here. You just get to click it, and it tells you specifically a large person could fit inside. Okay, well, thanks. I guess someone else from around town could have been present for the dark world in Chapter 2.
Good Lord, who is in there?
A large person. May I see it? No. So like right there, I said, oh, a large person, conveniently in proximity to the dark world. No matter how hard I try, there's only one large person I could think of.
Kenny's dead as the night.
Nah, seriously though. You want to know what Ralsei would look like with a beard? They had you think about it. Why are we told to think about Ralsei with a beard? For my money, Ralsei's true identity is Asgore. Yeah. Chris's dad. Ralsei says he isn't real. Well, what if he isn't real because he's a persona being puppeted by Asgore, who we know is notoriously bad at coming up with names? Why not take his son's name with the letters mixed up? It makes everything else make sense, including the hugs, the awkward but still comical acid tunnel of love scene, the fact that there is still a tangible separation between Ralsei and the others, and even a very solid reason for him to lie about being a Lightner. Yeah, this Ralsei character isn't real. He's a role being played on stage by Asgore. I say it partially because the game keeps going out of its way to have it be plausible. Part 3 doesn't have a server closet for a large person to be inside, but it does have dialogue about how someone could be watching from the window. Chris opens the door for someone before opening the fountain. What if the person was Asgore? The police probably won't care! Well, maybe they did care. I could even see Undyne following the police report about a creeper outside slashing tires, and seeing her old boss, Asgore, former chief of police, outside his old house investigating, and following him inside just before getting lost in the dark. That'd clear up a lot of inconsistencies, actually. More on that another time. Chapter 4 has a room that a large person could fit inside too, and Chris straight up won't open the door. This is right after Ralsei got crashed out on, mind you. And also, in a dialogue box that may as well be hidden because no one is asking about Asgore when they can say, bangin' sermon, my man. Son of GERSON explains that Asgore comes to church at night. All of this comes after the scene where Asgore mentions having a shadow crystal at Noelle's house. Most people think Asgore is planning to use the crystal himself, and there's an entire thing going on about it. However, I disagree! He specifically mentions an old friend in this dialogue, and Undertale's GERSON is longtime friends with Asgore. Certainly not impossible in Deltarune. We also see Ralsei looking for something as soon as you stumble upon him in the dark world. I think he wasn't there waiting for the player because he was there for his own reasons and misplaced the freaking shadow crystal. As for how it ended up in GERSON's desk, that's anyone's guess. Ralsei keeps awkwardly escaping off screen when the player closes Chris's eyes, so he could have been up to anything. Hell, I'll put the other pieces together. Asgore isn't actually enemies with Sans. They literally know each other. Befriending your mom? Bones already befriended your dad! Look out, shippers. Bone thruple inbound! I'd even go so far as to say Sans was keeping an eye on Toriel at Asgore's request in Undertale, seeing as Sans and Papyrus both knew Asgore but have never seen Toriel. Papyrus specifically says, Asgore cloned himself? Implying he's never seen or even known much about Toriel, which is also weirdly likely for Alphys too. It's also extremely convenient that Sans kept Toriel busy while the entire church debacle took place. Oh, and this whole scene with the snacks? Ralsei just got done saying it was a shame he couldn't feed his friends actual food in part 3. Of course the guy is so poor he's starving to death in the light world is worried about his kids getting fed. Poor Asgore, that snack tray was probably the first actual food he's had in weeks. Asgore is pathetic. He's been pathetic. But same with Ralsei. It's beyond any measure of reasons that Ralsei is so generally depressed and self-deprecating. He doesn't even decorate his own room because he's concerned with providing for everyone else. Yeah, these are probably the same room, by the way. Monster movie poster? You put that through the lens of his wife left him and he's in a fantasy world role-playing as his teenage OC. The one he specifically gave his ex-wife's face and glasses because it's the face he fell in love with. Well, it's even more pathetic. And the others seem to even know about some of this. They're talking about it. They're talking about Asgore's weird hobby that no one wants to say directly. I kept asking myself in part 4, why are we even talking about Asgore? And it's because we're also talking about Ralsei. Ralsei came in clutch with the rose for Susie to give Noelle. Ralsei warned Susie that Carol was coming into the driveway. Ralsei realized he wasn't doing enough for his friends in the real world and changed that. Remember how I said Ralsei dresses like Black Mage but can't cast fire? Yeah, he can. In Chapter 4, when you light up a huge sensor, it's the same sprite as Asgore's fire magic. Guess the sensors really are gonna kill me! Apparently, a certain character was supposed to be able to cast fire magic early on, and it was removed. If Ralsei came right out the gate with Asgore sprites, maybe people would have thought about this sooner, but here we are. Anyway, let me show my work a little more because I do think that there are actual hints in addition to the circumstantial evidence. I mean, yes, okay, many of the hints I've seen toward Asgore and Ralsei being the same person are incredibly obtuse to the point I have to explain them like a crazy person. Here's another one. In Chapter 3, Ralsei and Susie attempt to answer quiz questions when Chris doesn't beat them to it, and Ralsei answers questions in a peculiar way. People don't seem to get why it's so weird both of them think Chris's favorite food is chocolate, and it definitely is chocolate, by the way. Another video. But yeah. Ralsei values himself at less than $8, thinks Asriel's favorite Smash character is Yoshi, and denies that Asgore loves COWBOY Show. Yeah, he's denying it. Yeah, this one is hidden behind literally altering your save file to go to Tenna's redone round 3 board, so don't feel bad if you missed it. And then it's double hidden behind the fact that a large portion of the fan base is addicted to Woody theory, so that's all they'll care about is the words COWBOY Show. We all have a friend inside us who will never die. Anyway, it's another thing I thought was weird. Ralsei wordlessly picks monster movies, which could be a good joke because Asgore is a monster and it's a movie. But also, if this room is Ralsei's room, possibly Asgore's old room, the monster movie poster becomes a solid link. Yeah, it's tangential and behind 4 layers of nuance, but it's there, and I can't stop thinking about it, okay? Here's another circumstantial but irritating coincidence. Asgore has always been the one calling the player back from death. They put the game over theme in his battle music, which is extra meaningful since he knows you die and come back. Hell, I remember hearing it plenty of times when I was thinking, oh, maybe the way to get the pacifist ending for Asgore is to just die enough times so he has your soul 7 times. Hell, I'm not going to get another chance to talk about this, so I kept noticing things while collecting footage for this video. I gotta paint the rest of the picture as to who Asgore is, and there's someone really important to bring in for that.
GERSON time!
I'm also gonna get real speculative here, so, bear with me like you have been. GERSON has extra dialogue after beating the full pacifist ending. Interestingly, in Pacifist, he calls himself a hero, the Hammer of Justice, but in the Killy one, he says he's not a hero and never was. In both dialogues, however, guess who he spends most of his time talking about? Asgore again. Look at these freaking dialogue options. Alright, Pacifist route. Asgore was known as King Fluffy Buns to his people due to a microphone mishap. He refuses to tell us if Asgore is a goat exactly, but does tell us that he's a boss monster, and those don't age unless they have a child. This line about Asgore being stuck at the same age stood out to me.
If Asgore's your father, he'll definitely outlive you.
It's just a weird concept. I mean, I was already thinking about Ralsei being Asgore at a younger age, and weird-ass world-building concepts like this tend to be relevant later. So let's actually think about that for a sec. Boss monsters raise their offspring by flowing their soul power into their child. This causes them both to age. GERSON is being obtuse here. Asgore had a child, but Asriel was killed before the events of the story. Since Asgore doesn't have a child to give soul power to, he stops aging. So what would have happened if the parent was the one who died? Soul power stops flowing, child can't grow. You'd probably end up with a young boss monster stuck as a child. This made me imagine a young Asgore, prince of monsters, simply unable to age properly because of the loss of his parents in the war with humans. Prince Fluffy Boy. That presented a problem though. How was he ever going to grow up enough to have kids of his own? Then I realized the next line was asking if Asgore could start aging after adopting a human.
Nah, that wouldn't work.
But what if adoption does work if it's other boss monsters? GERSON died of old age by the time of Deltarune. That makes sense since he has a son. We don't know if those two are boss monsters at all, but what if GERSON adopted Asgore? I think it's safe to say GERSON is a total freaking boss either way. Yes, look, I'm definitely going off the rails with speculation, but this is the fun stuff. If y'all get to imagine this and that character making out, I get to imagine GERSON is Chris's grandpa. This is from the Evil Route. I'm just gonna read it, frankly.
Long ago, Asgore and I agreed that escaping would be pointless, since once we left, humans would just kill us. I felt a little betrayed when he eventually changed his mind. Now I think maybe he was right to, because after all, even though we never escaped, the humans killing us anyway, ain't that right? I'm not a hero, but I know there's someone out there, someone who'll never give up trying to do the right thing, no matter what. There's no prophecy or legend about anyone like that. It's just something I know is true. Someone like that'll strike you down.
Toriel gets on Asgore's case in the pacifist route ending.
To leave this place, you would have to take the life of another person. It is not right to sacrifice someone simply to let someone leave here. Is that not what I have been trying to prevent this whole time?
And then like 2 sentences later,
You pathetic whelp! If you really wanted to free our kind, you could have gone through the barrier after you got 1 soul, taken 6 souls from the humans, then come back and freed everyone peacefully.
she is dead-ass saying,
Murder is wrong, but also, Asgore, you wuss, you should have committed 6 murders.
like, she's right. He could have absolutely done that. He absolutely could have done that, but there's no way King Fluffy Buns is okay with doing any murder at all. The GERSON dialogue explains that they saw escaping is pointless. Asgore's decree did cause the deaths of the 6 humans, though indirectly. The poor children. But yeah, this is the main reason I don't think Asgore killed even 1 human up until Frisk. He's a peaceful man and a pacifist who never wants to fight, even if he thinks it's entirely necessary. That's why he destroyed the mercy button. His name would have been pink or yellow instantly. And even in regard to that, it's Asgore's voice telling the player to get back up after he kills them. Asgore knows what he has to do, but he doesn't have the strength to do it, and he quite frankly would rather die himself, or at the very least, settle things over a cup of tea.
Tori, you're right. I am a miserable creature. But do you think we can at least be friends again?
No, Asgore!
There's no quicker way to destroy an audience's faith in a male character than by having a woman reject him. People don't look at Asgore and think, the pacifist king who is expected to murder a child to save his people. They think,
Divorce Dad! With the power of the 7 ice cold beers! In my truck right after a beer,
running down my son's girlfriend dear. I that's your ass is mine. The burger trucking time is now.
Honestly, I can kind of see how no one else is thinking the same as me on this one. The difference between Fanon Ralsei and Fanon Asgore is immense in scale. Fanon Ralsei smokes blunts, makes out with everyone, and has a gun! Canon Ralsei is a pathetic whelp, alone in the dark with no friends, tending to his castle, making things nice for absolutely everyone but himself, someone who doesn't even feel worthy of getting a hug from Chris. You see how much context would change having these two characters be the same dude, while at the same time only making the story that much better? It hurts even worse to think Chris will hug Ralsei but doesn't want a hug from Asgore, when Ralsei is actually Asgore. I think I'm glad that Ralsei is Ralsei hits me with the same impact as good, keep smiling. And I think this is exactly what Toby is going for with this. A good plot twist doesn't ruin future playthroughs, it enhances them. You can reread all of it and be stunned at all the breadcrumbs left that make sense when you know the truth. Chris absolutely knows the truth. Chapter 2 and 3 specifically have so much dialogue that goes crazy when you look at it like this. Maybe I'll do a follow-up video for that later.
I am taking too long.
Thank you for entertaining my headcanons. Like I said, I don't really know what Toby is thinking. I thought Megalovania was for Eridan for frick's sakes, but I do think this particular twist would be absolutely amazing if it pans out. What Megalovania is the theme for a battle against a former friend in every usage. So if I can leave you with something fun to imagine.
There's no one to fight anymore. If you need to fight someone, then fight me. But I won't fight back.
Ralsei materializes his true weapon, a laser trident, aims away from your soul and destroys your defend button. Ralsei looks through you.
I don't want to fight you. Chris. No, the human player controlling Chris. Stop fighting! Don't do this to us. To Noelle. What does she ever do to you except try to be your friend? Trying to make her into your nightmare final boss? At what cost, player? Who hurt you?
Ralsei casts Heal Player. Chris became more tired.
I'm sorry if it was me.
Ralsei offers you a cup of tea. You don't like tea. Chris used the hot chocolate. Chris became less tired. Ralsei's breathing gets funny for a moment.
You're really willing to keep opening fountains, destroy everything for all of us, even sell your own soul just so you can have fun? I don't care if this is a game to you. It's wrong.
Smells like Ralsei. Ralsei casts Heal Player.
I get it. I'm not a hero. Never was. But I'll never give up trying to do the right thing, no matter what. There's no prophecy or legend about anyone like that.
Chris became more tired.
It's just something I know is true. That someone like that will strike you down. Even if it can't be me. And then he smokes a fat doink and runs his truck into you while drinking the 7 ice-cold beers!
Anyway, I think Jockington grows the beard because he thinks Asgore is as cool during the epilogue at the end of the game. That's the entire joke. Thanks for watching. Thank you very much for dropping by and watching my video all the way to this point. I genuinely just had to say this because I hadn't seen anyone else saying it, and it was driving me insane. I could be completely wrong, and I truly apologize to anybody I've offended, but oh lord, he's definitely Asgore. More content to come. Please tune in again anytime if you'd like to hear more of my voice. And don't forget to tell me any suggestions for things you'd like to hear me dub or talk about at dtvarlux@gmail.com. Thanks again. See you around.